Alright, hello everybody. Thank you for joining me again. So today was a really interesting day. I was working on doing some stuff in the back porch, and I looked over into the windowsill, down into the window well, and we found some kittens. So we brought them inside and got them set up, and I went back outside to finish what I was doing, and we found some more kittens from our barn cat. So we were looking them over, making sure that everything was alright, trying to, find out how many there were. And we found this kitten who has some stuff going on with his back feet. Now we're suspecting that it's probably a tendon issue. It's probably not, a bone issue or anything like that. So I brought him inside, and I got online to see what I could find. And I found a really pretty good article. It's pretty detailed from Show Cats Online. This is what it looks like. I printed it out. Let me see if I can show you. Show Cats Online, caring for a kitten with, caring for a kitten born with a twisted leg. So they can either have this condition in their front legs or in their hind legs, according to the article. And the good thing is that it is reversible, but it does need to be dealt with pretty much as soon as they're born. So we did catch it, pretty early. So we're going to need some rags to dry them off with, some warm water, some tape, and I grabbed some scissors so we can cut the tape when it's time. So what we're supposed to do is you're supposed to warm up the legs before you start doing the physiotherapy with them. So I'm just going to put my little finger in there, and it's a bit warm, so I'm going to slosh it around a little bit. Now remember that kittens are very delicate, and their skin is very sensitive. So if it feels hot to you, then it's way too hot for them. And if it feels, like a nice hot cup of tea for you, then it's probably still going to be a little bit too hot for them. You're probably going to want to aim for something more like lukewarm or just a little bit warmer, but probably not much more than that. So I'm just working the water right now, trying to get it to cool down a little bit. And it's not bad. It's not too bad. Alright, we're gonna give that a shot. Okay, so we're going to let him, get his claws off me here. We're going to let him have a little soak, and I'm going to give you some views before we start. So another thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to evaluate which direction they're turning and how badly. At least that's what the article said. So I'm just going to take a little feet. I'm going to watch him and make sure that he's not, freaking out too badly. It might be a little warm. Might be a little hot still. Good. Now we're just going to let him relax there. Now I'm doing this in a Tupperware so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm just kind of laying him in it. I'm not putting his whole body in there. I'm just trying to get his back end in there. I know. It's not hot. I can assure you it's not hot. I'm just going to cradle his back feet. Yeah. Alright. Just going to take him for a little dip. So now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to gently just kind of massage the legs. And I'm not putting too much pressure on them. I'm just kind of rubbing them. Another reason besides the fact that you don't want to burn them, another reason you don't want the water to be too hot is because at this age, kittens cannot regulate their own body temperature. So if they're sitting somewhere that's too hot, they could overheat. Just like if they're sitting somewhere that's too cold, they can become a little bit hypothermic. So you do want to be careful with that. I know he's not a fan of it, but I can assure you it's not burning him. You're alright, baby. It's alright. Just relax. Just relax, honey. I'm sorry for all the noise. Aaliyah? Aaliyah, can you turn it down, please?
I don't know how.
Go down to the bottom and there's a volume button. Turn it down. Nice and gentle. He'll get used to this as time goes on. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking my hands and I'm gently massaging his legs because you want to warm them up. Because this is usually more of a tendon issue. So you want to kind of loosen things up a little bit. There we go. Alright. We're going to let him soak for a few more minutes. We're almost done. So here's just what I'm doing with his legs. I'm just gently massaging him, and he's falling asleep right now. He says, oh, I'm warm. I'm getting a massage. Yeah. The lion sleeps tonight. Here we go. Alright, back in the water a little more. I'm just going to put him back in the water for a few more minutes. He's almost done, I think. It's alright, it's alright. He's squirming because I think it feels funny, but it's not burning him. He's alright. Alright, I'll do the other leg. Now, this is really interesting for me because I've actually never dealt with anything like this. It's alright, they're okay. Yeah, I've actually never had to deal with anything like this before. So it'll be really interesting to see, just how well it works, and hopefully watching the change and the improvement. I'm excited to learn how to do this. Okay, so I think he's done with that. So we're going to dry him off now. Oh, I know. He is going to go back with his mama once we're done. Because if she's willing to feed him, then that takes a lot more work off of my end of things. So if she'll keep him, then she's more than welcome to feed him. So we're just going to dry him off a little bit. Okay. So now, according to the article, what you want to do is you want to stabilize. You want to take hold of the leg at where it's normal, and work on slowly. I know. You want to work on slowly getting it back to where it's to its normal position. I know. Now they're gonna not like it. They're gonna kind of scream a little bit, but that's bending things like tendons and stuff like that doesn't really feel great. So they're not gonna like it. I know, baby. I know. I'm sorry. So from what I read, this is more from, so the mama had 4 kittens. And from what I've read, this is caused by kind of being smushed when they're in the womb a little bit. So their legs don't have room to kind of stretch out and grow normally. There you go. And so they kind of end up like this a little bit. I know. So you want to do this about 5 minutes at a time. We'll probably do it about 3 to 5 minutes at a time, and we'll probably do it multiple times throughout the day. I'm sorry. I know. I'm going to set you on the table. There you go. I'm being very, very gentle. I'm not jerking it around too badly or anything. I'm being very gentle with him. So I'm going to extend. I know, baby, I know. Good job. I know, honey bunch. Let's go back to this leg. Oh, you're okay, you're okay. He can move around pretty good. His front legs are fine. Oh, look at his front legs. His front legs are perfectly fine, which is good because he can pull himself around. He'll probably, he can probably pull himself up to his mama to eat and everything like that.
He's like, yes, I got it. I got it. Alexander even knows that one.
Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Just going to extend it just a tiny bit. Nice and easy. I know. Here you go. It looks bad and it sounds bad, but if we can, it'll really be better for him if we can try to get this corrected. There you go. I know.
We get some top ramen.
There we go. So I'm going in towards him, and then out just a bit, and then in, and then back to normal, and then in, and back to normal. Let's do that with the other leg. Hold on, baby, hold on. Can you rub your tummy? Can you rub your tummy? So we're going to go in, and then back to the normal position, and then in just a bit, back to the normal position. Yes, I know. It'll get better. It sounds bad, but again, if we can correct it, it'll really be better for him. Okay, so now, I'm going to take some tape. I know, where's your mama? Oops. Okay, so we have 2 pieces of tape that are several inches long, about this long. And then we have one that's probably about half of that, roughly. Not quite as long. And we're going to take them like this and try to start kind of up at the hip almost. You're not going around the hip, but you're kind of starting right about here, because you want his hip to still be able to move, but you're stabilizing everything from the hip down. Yeah.
But you know, it could have been an accident. I don't know.
Extend the leg. Try not to catch the tail. Wrap it gently. It doesn't need to be super duper tight or anything.
No.
I don't know what you're saying. Oh, okay.
Beep, 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 beep.
Then you're going to want to make sure that it is in a normal position before you tape it up. You have to cut some more tape. So you're going to want to extend the leg just a little bit. Make sure it's in a normal position.
Okay, Aaliyah, if he keeps doing that, I'm going to paddle. He's not going
Like that.
He keeps doing it.
You just
Be very gentle.
and it's really not. It's very naughty.
There
No,
we go.
I'm not
And it's going to take some time.
You're just being ornery. It's not cute. And you think it's cute, and it's not cute. Aaliyah,
Okay,
I
now
will
watch
get
those feet. You're going to want to watch those little footsies and make sure that you're not wrapping so tight that you cut the circulation off or anything. So now I'm going to fold the end of the tape over so that it doesn't stick, and that'll make it easier when it's time to take them off and change it. I'm going to do a nice long piece here, and if we have to trim it, we can.
No, it's not funny. What you're doing is not
Come on, let go.
Somebody, she's taking.
Let go. So they're still going to look, you know, they still might be a little bit funny,
Dad tries it.
but they'll hopefully be more stable than they were.
Because that was not cute. No.
So do the same thing.
You
We're going from about,
Come on, yeah, go to sleep. You're not about your sister. It's about that was super nice.
we're going to go from about the stifle down when we're taping. Well, little one, we're almost done. Go in between the tail. His little tail wants to come say hi. There you go. I need your leg.
We have to be kind. We're going to be kind to each other, and we're going to be kind to Aaliyah.
There we go.
Okay, you're going to sit here. I'm going to finish getting some lunch. I'll get
There
you
we go.
carrots out of this.
No, I'm just couple carrots. It's just pain if it's not that carrot one, the other carrot.
He probably won't like this, but he'll probably get used to it. So
Not your choice right now.
he'll be okay.
It's not your choice. You sit
There
down.
we go. You're okay.
I already smashed all my beef noodles up for tomorrow.
Okay.
I got my
So we're going to extend the leg and make sure that it's in a natural position. Okay, sorry about that. I ran out of space, so I had to delete some stuff. Okay, so I'm using my index fingers to feel his hip sockets, his hip joints. I'm using my thumbs like that to kind of help straighten his legs. And now we're going to take them about here, about midway down the leg. And we're going to come over here and just place the tape over there, like that. Make sure that they're straight, and then we're going to come across, kind of like that. Make sure you're not pulling too tight. Let's do it, baby. We're almost done. Like that. I'm just going to set them. Go behind the legs now. Make sure you don't get the tail in there.
You didn't add the packaging yet.
A baby goat. Okay. And now we're going to come behind like that. Oh, that looks pretty good.
God, the baby goat wants to be with me right now.
Once again, fold over the end of the tape so you don't have trouble getting it off.
Are you watching a YouTube?
And now we're going to take our fingers in between and just kind of go like that, kind of pinch it. And make sure that the tape is staying where we want it to. Make sure that it sticks. Okay. And now this is what we're left with. It looks weird, it looks gruesome, but hopefully it'll help in the end. And we're going to do this probably a couple times a day. I know. Probably going to do this a couple times a day. for a while, and after a little while we'll come back and we'll do an update video. So that is it for now, and thank you for watching.